And I think of the crypto market in general as a futures market for new and novel ideas, in which people are kind of leveraging, the power of, again, open access, permissionless value transfer networks to bootstrap communities around ideas.
Hi everyone, I am super excited to bring you another insightful episode of NEWFORUM. NEWFORUM is a community podcast inviting purpose-driven visionaries, creators, and investors to spark accessible conversations on the topics of crypto, the metaverse, NFT, and everything Web3. Our community is honored to have the co-founder and director of Museum of Crypto Art, Colborn Bell, on this episode of NEWFORUM. The Museum of Crypto Art is a metaverse museum that lives in virtual reality and exhibits across digital worlds. It is a global foundation, governance vehicle, and innovation lab working to preserve and honor crypto art and its creators. We will hear more about the mission of MoCA and its impact in the space shortly. We'll also discuss the concept of decentralized curation, collective philosophy, define the difference between NFTs and crypto art, and what it means to display work in the metaverse versus in real life. Hey, Colborn, thank you again for joining us today.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. So why don't we begin with you introducing yourself to our community and what led you to Web3 to eventually become the founder of MoCA?
Sure. I grew up in Southern California. I went to New York City for school, studied economics and psychology, began my career in investment banking, worked that job for about 6 months before I found it really intolerable. Wanted to do something more aligned with my values. So I went over to be a consultant for United Nations Capital Development Fund, where I spent 2.5 years building an infrastructure bank in East Africa. Then kind of got a bit bogged down by the bureaucracy of that all, and went back into private markets, joining a wealth management firm founded by vegan Buddhists. That was for about 2.5 years before I was given the opportunity to run the US family office for a foreign family. That was more angel investing, venture capital, generally around energy. It was during that time that I first found Ethereum. The idea of global prediction markets, took really every last dollar I had at the time and invested in Ethereum, and had kind of like the right skill set to be involved during the boom in 2017. That was kind of where, I first came across things like Mooncats, CryptoKitties, virtual land with Decentraland. Was playing around with the additional app. Fast forward to January of 2020, NFTs really started to pop up back on my radar, especially in relationship to the metaverse and gaming. In February of 2020, I was introduced to SuperRare as a potential equity investment. Never did that deal, but kind of in the due diligence, began collecting on that site. And by April of 2020, after collecting a fair number of pieces and having conversations with the artists and really understanding their philosophy and reason for being in the space, and why NFTs were so powerful for creatives, the museum was born.
When we think about crypto and Web3, especially when I speak to my friends, you're like, what is this? It's almost like there are a bunch of robots behind crypto and Web3, and they don't realize that it's actual, real people who want to make the world a better place, right? And they're innovating as these new emerging technologies are also, I guess, evolving. So that's an incredible story. And MoCA puts forward a broad representation of perspectives meant to upend our sense of who we are. And it poses 2 questions: what is art and who decides? So I'm curious to know, what is the difference between the definition of what art or who decides art from the Web3 MoCA perspective, and the conventional traditional perspective, like, and why does this even matter?
Yeah.
What art is and who defines it and all of that.
Look, it's a wonderful question, and I think we've seen a traditional and contemporary art canon that is very much steeped in white Eurocentric male, and these are the voices that continue to be propagated and upheld, generally because there's a market incentive to do so. So the gatekeepers of that market, continue to kind of prop up that narrative. And while Web3 has mirrored this in many ways, it doesn't have to be that way, right? So Ethereum and blockchains in general, as open access and permissionless networks, allow the onboarding of global creativity. And my kind of goal as a collector has always been to look to the outskirts, to look to marginalized voices, to look to places where new and novel creativity is being expressed, and to try and bring all of those voices together so that we can, I guess, again, just have a broader representation of what is art and celebrate the fringe of art making and the ability as collectors to not only see this, but to begin to become advocates on behalf of these artists, to let other people know and share their stories. And in this way, I think, we are able to begin to move into more of a borderless paradigm, which is in line with perhaps a utopian, but maybe a more ideal version of what I hope the metaverse can be.
I'm also curious to know, who are your target audience, and can you talk about the differences between NFTs and crypto, and also perhaps the difference between crypto and NFT art?
I would say frankly, there is no target audience. I would say some of our most successful events have been, we held within our museum an art swap amongst Indian artists, right? And we pulled a tremendous number of participants in there to see it and experience and hear these artist stories. Same thing with a group we've been working with or alongside for a while now, Crypto Argentina, right? So basically wherever, I am most excited about places where institutions have failed the people of that country, where those artists begin to reach out to kind of the globe to share their stories, share why they're using crypto, share, what is happening to them on the ground, so that people can, again, become more empathetic to the, kind of perhaps like the nature of money, the nature of power, what governments do and who they stand for. And, they reach out as a lifeline. And that's really where I find kind of like the most bold, experimental, creative voices and vision. Now, what is the difference between crypto and NFTs?
Yes.
Well, both are tools, right? So, really the NFT is just a token standard atop of a crypto network. Crypto is a protocol. Ethereum with its smart contracts layer really allows for the trustless transfer of value. So, the NFT again is some call it a digital certificate of authenticity for that work. I would generally argue that the token is the artwork, and that the metadata that it points to or the on-chain image is really given freely to the internet. And then, I think crypto artists, as opposed to NFT artists, really stand for sovereignty of the creative, reawakening and reimagining what a new global creative paradigm could look like. They believe in, secondary royalties and resale rights for the artists. And, collectively, they've shown that kind of like the power of the movement and the ability to like ideate and conceptualize change perhaps is, more interesting than like what any one individual has to say. if that makes sense.
A great explanation. And I think most of the time I even get a little bit, in terms of like the art itself, you know, I get a little bit torn. Like someone can say I'm a crypto artist and someone says I'm an NFT artist, right? And so then I'm wondering, like, what exactly does this mean? Because usually when I think about crypto, I think about more of like the financial aspect of things like DeFi and all of that. So
Right.
I'm just
Which is
right.
interesting to me, because I generally think about it the exact opposite, right? I think
Mm.
crypto artists stand for something stronger, deeper, and more philosophical. And I think NFT artists are really just speaking to kind of the market innovation that occurred, right? So
Mm.
before kind of like NFT took over global zeitgeist, which I generally point to around March of 2021 when the Beeple sale occurred, and this was all over the media. There was a group of like renegade outside artists. I think of crypto people as almost like the last bastion of free thought, where experimentation is allowed and encouraged to flourish. And I think of the crypto market in general as a futures market for new and novel ideas, in which people are kind of leveraging, you know, the power of, again, open access, permissionless value transfer networks to bootstrap communities around ideas. So I think it was really the crypto artists that bootstrapped the concept of an NFT for the purposes of this kind of creative revolution, a rethinking of the paradigm, like who was allowed to access and play in art. And then everybody that identifies as an NFT artist, I find that to be so sterile. I find the NFT to just be a container. It can apply to anything. I think art NFTs exist, but unless you are really playing with like that container, and I think very few artists have, I think it's a misnomer to label yourself an NFT artist.
Also, I want to know, so is like a fully decentralized curation possible, or is this something we are to look forward to, like in the near future of the collaborative creator economy?
I think we embrace the experiment as much as anybody. I mean, we are a foundation mandated to build public goods for the metaverse. You know, we have a free and very easy to use what we call MoCA multipass, which allows anybody to upload either works they've created or works that they've collected into a community collection. And this community collection, in my mind, really serves as you know, our collective subconscious of, you know, what people care about, what people are willing to share, what they want to put into the museum. And frankly, for me, when there are very few discovery tools outside of marketplaces, which are so attached to kind of dollar signs and values, this is a wonderful place where I go to discover new works, new artists, because things really tend to like pop out and catch my eye. And it is for me like a portal to, again, just see what people care about and are sharing.
I mean, I'm just really excited about what you're doing with MoCA, and I'm just really glad that you can, you know, share this, because then, you know, I'm excited that it gets to reach our community of creators, to see that there's this platform out there, there's this opportunity out there for them to get their work out there, and it's really inspiring and encouraging. And I also wanted to ask you if you could define what collective philosophy means, and would you say the DAO narrative or structuring or organizing or ethos fall under this philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of a joke that's been floating around that, you know, the only thing that's slower than a museum is a DAO. You know, so I would say, you know, we have certainly, we are, again, we are in such an early stage with experimenting on how to self-govern and organize, and generally power within DAOs flows to a few kind of key decision makers in which everybody follows. I mean, there is certainly a scarcity of time in a market that operates at a feverish pace 24/7, 365. So, I think governance is a big question, but it's not a question about how we build tools to empower people to kind of share and showcase and lift one another up. And that is really, what we're focused on in the museum through the multipass, how that curation tech feeds into our room floor ecosystem, how you can kind of take those 3D architectural objects that are fitted with your collection and deploy them across metaverses. This was always, at kind of the core identity of the museum was that we were putting on artist solo shows. And this is why people were attracted to us, because at a time when there were very few outside voices advocating on behalf of the artists and what they were doing, and the types of works that they were creating, and it would take a couple weeks perhaps to spin up a solo show. Well, now we're giving people the ability really to do it in 5 to 10 minutes. And for me, where the architecture is also a unique piece of artwork, it speaks to a diversified landscape and a world that is not only filled with beautiful novel architecture, but beautiful, unique artwork, where we are not kind of like the sole curators anymore. And in fact, the museum exists in a multi-nodal structure that mirrors how blockchain networks are formed. And then all of these individuals become kind of advocates, ambassadors, and curators of something that points to a larger and collective truth.
I'm wondering, like, how do you like imagine the spaces to mirror the real life experience, right? And like, how do you transfer the real life experience in terms of the ambience and all of that into the metaverse without losing the essence of it?
Yeah, so I'll just say what I'm not particularly a fan of on both sides
Okay.
first, and then we'll
Okay.
lead into kind of promise. Like I have never been. I recognize we need to take growth in stepping stones. I kind of also recognize that maybe I'm like on this exponential leap forward of what I dream of, but for me it's really tough to see NFTs on well, look, let's call it crypto art on television screens, right? Or even on billboards in Times Square. I think the context of the presentation is important. And I think crypto art is native to digital land and worlds. When I see art on a television screen, I think of watching TV, right? And I think of kind of this mind-numbing experience, and going to a place like Art Basel in Miami, where there was a bit of a hybrid exhibit. Frankly, like the physical artworks looked better. They were displayed better. It was more interesting and interactive. But the experience of kind of the events at Art Basel versus kind of the conference fair, I'm all for like experiential digital art. I think what Art Tech House is doing in New York and Miami, what Super Blue did in Miami is very unique and novel, where people begin to kind of like engage and play. This is a whole new type of experience that I think is suited to perhaps like an overstimulated younger generation, where attention spans are shorter, where they want to be more immersed. And when I think of kind of like the failures of the metaverse at this stage, is many people lean again to the 2D experience, where they're on their computer screen and they might be like walking around with arrow keys. Like, it was never my prerogative. Everything that we did from the beginning was built and meant for virtual reality. But there is such a gap in technology and adoption that we kind of have to lay breadcrumbs to the ultimate goal. I love the experience of crypto art in VR, because you can blow up these artworks to large sizes. Perhaps you can like fly around and examine really at a granular detail these works. You can even like touch and be immersed in kind of the pixelization, and then you can present them outside of kind of a white walled cubed gallery and into more surreal landscapes, into places that invite people to reimagine the relationship between art, architecture, and design. And frankly, I think it's in those settings where people begin to develop more empathy. They are having a, a direct immersive experience that mirrors real life. And this has a profound emotional impact. So, I would love to see, in real life, perhaps like the use of more projectors or multi-sensory experiences. And then, in the metaverse, I want to see, more people going into VR, sharing stories, being interconnected, and kind of along the way, I accept the breadcrumb approach to getting people there.
Yeah. Well explained. I love that explanation. And as we're still on the topic of the metaverse versus in real life experience, how do these two intersect when it comes to MoCA and the future of MoCA?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say we are really toying with the idea of giving our rooms holders kind of a free license to represent again, curatorial voice of MoCA. So we would encourage them to host any like IRL exhibitions on behalf of the Museum of Crypto Art, any events, education centers, kind of drawing from, again, this collective community collection. And, we have individuals all over the world that hold these rooms and speak to plenty variety of viewpoints, and artists that they want to see uplifted and shared. So I imagine a lot of people kind of working in parallel between, IRL installations that would almost mirror the shows that they're doing in their rooms and in the metaverse.
Yeah, I'm totally looking forward to that, because I personally am like, I love the, in real life experience, and sometimes I'm just like, I don't know, but this is the future. And I feel like we all need to embrace it and find a way to kind of like find a healthy balance. And I see the metaverse enhancing the in real life experience, as you sort of like explained it in a way, versus us just living in the metaverse.
I at this point, I believe that we have an unsustainable physical economy, right? And that kind of the values of our the true cost of our actions is not properly perhaps reflected in the price. I believe kind of the broad global capitalism that we have adopted to be incredibly extractive and frankly detrimental to generally the poorest people in the world. So I think we do a disservice if we don't look at ways that we can connect and interact as one global world more sustainably. I think, I hope that the metaverse and bringing art there is, again, a stepping stone from shifting physical consumption to digital consumption, and allowing us to, again, just connect and share and exist more broadly outside of kind of the physical shell that we're in, and more truly to ourselves. A lot of it is also about identity and self-representation, and the ability to be kind of fluid within the avatars that we represent.
Exactly. And then this concept of sustainability as well, as more things get digitized, then we're sort of saving more like physical materials, cutting down less trees maybe. So yeah, that's also really amazing. And I'm just curious to know, what keeps you motivated as a Web3 founder, and what do you look forward to the most in the future of Web3, crypto?
I wake up every morning, and I have for whatever it's been the past 2.5 years, with boundless energy, because it's the artists, it's the people that continue to like spark my curiosity, that continue to innovate, that continue to like evolve and grow. And all of us are kind of on this path of both like self and collective discovery together about what this is and what this all means. And I'm really hoping again, back to that, like the collective actions can outweigh kind of the misaligned incentives of pre-existing power structures, whether it's tech oligarchies or whatever kind of pre-existing power structures exist to kind of hold people back and keep them in their place.
I mean, on that note, I really want to say thank you so much, Colborn, for taking the time to join us to share your thoughts, experiences. Very insightful, and I'm pretty sure I'm inspired by talking to you and hearing your perspectives and all of that. And I'm pretty sure our community and listeners feel the same and would love to find you. So where can they find you on your social platform?
Yeah, I mean, we are everywhere. We are on Twitter at Museum of Crypto, www.museumofcryptoart.com. We have a decentralized app, which is app.museumofcryptoart.com. Pop into our Discords. I'm on Twitter at CO1BORN, and DMs are open. So I'm always happy to kind of talk and chat. And thank you so much for just the insightful questions and the interest that you've taken in the project.
Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you all for being a part of today's forum. If you want to get more involved in our community, make sure to follow us on our social platforms. IG is newcoin.nco and our website is newcoin.org. You can also join our Discord community and take a moment. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to our channel. And I will see you in the next episode.